You know, I see a lot of times where artists scared to be themselves in some sense and just try to make music that they think the people would like. And I think that's like the first mistake.
You can look at a person, you can have a conversation with them, and you know whether it's the music or who they identify themselves with, if it comes from an organic place, a real place.
The remarkable thing about a season is that it's already started before you know it. So almost always we're catching up with ourselves.
Video, newsletter, podcast. This is Creative Minds.
Hello, close friends of the internet, and it's that time of the week again when I get to take you through a piece of writing that I've been doing and looking at some thoughts and some particular artists as well around this issue of what it might really take to pursue an authentic, creative voice.
Addiction had me by the throat, I couldn't breathe, just choke. My own words couldn't take serious, I was living a joke.
Sometimes for creators who make anything that goes online, there can be a trend to try and say that things are easy. Just 5 quick steps or tricks to complete and you'll be done. Do this thing once, this foolproof method for assured success, and that'll be it. You'll be complete, signed off, invulnerable to pain perhaps, or failure or doubt of any kind for good. But this piece is not about anything like that. It's not going to try and sell you on that. I'm not going to get into anything massively complex here. I've just tried to write something that's true and honest about how we're going to find our authentic creative voices, perhaps. Looking at the examples of the artists that I want to pull in today. And the good news is that journey to bring forward that voice can start today, and it can start in this moment, and it can start in the next moment and the next moment. It's a simple battle, a simple way that we're going to want to move forward. But like most of the realities of being a human, this isn't some game you really get to complete. Staying on the path to that authentic and true and powerful purpose and voice in your work is going to be a case of winning that battle now and tomorrow and every day forward.
But me as a person, just knowing who I am, I grow. I'm like a chameleon, you know, and that is a gift and a curse for me, you know, but more so a gift because it never pertains to me to put me in a box, and my ability to express it and to still make the connection wherever I go, that is my high points, you know, and that's something that I pride myself off. You know, it's always come from an organic place.
Beautiful. It sounds like the connection you're talking about really is your connection to it more than other people's connection to it.
Right.
But I think the thing that's infectious about it, and the reason other people connect, is they feel your connection to it.
Exactly.
You know, it's not even necessarily that, like, probably a lot of people who are your fans, who heard your last record, might not have been that into jazz.
Exactly.
But they feel your connection to it, and it inspires them to open themselves to hear new music that they might not have heard.
That is so true.
I turned it around my room before you came. Excuse the mess it made. It usually doesn't rain in South Dakota.
But in a way, the fact that you've gone ahead and made something so different to what you did before, and you've done so much studying and learning in order to get there, in a way, isn't it continued mutilation every time you reject something you created before in order to grow and potentially lose people in the process and leave the things that could give you comfort behind? Isn't that just a form of
100%
violent change in a weird way?
Yes, and please, yes, every day. I hope that happens every day. I hope that every day. Identity, I hope that identity can always be something that it's that it dies and borns every day. And that every day you can choose who you are, and every day you can understand who you are and you can change every day.
That's a discipline, isn't it? Because again,
'Cause I've been thinking about forever.
What I'm talking about today is the importance of making decisions at every level that are congruent with that work that you want to make. As I say, it's simple really, and it's beautiful in that simplicity, because when we can find the eye of that needle and execute on threading it through not just the moments where we're in creative practice, but the rest of our choices in life and the rest of our life as well. Everything else, the nerves, the self-doubt, the lack of purpose, the feelings of procrastination, all that stuff will pretty much fall away, or at least fade slowly into the background as we're able to bring forward that integrity and that authenticity.
Sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without making a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Requests to stop what you are doing right now and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away.
At the bottom of this piece, I want to pull together 3 ways that we can think about how to better walk that path that's congruent with our creative work in every moment, and find and thread that needle that we're looking to. We're going to be thinking today about concepts like compulsion, intentionality, addiction, awareness, self-dehumanization, which I may have just come up with, but you probably know what I'm talking about, and the importance of conscious actions over unconscious ones. But before we get onto those 3 points, or ways that we might bring forward this authentic voice, I want to first explore this topic further through the story of an artist I've been following for a long time now, and an artist who just released an album last week actually, and that's Danny Brown.
I don't know. I think my top priorities in my creative process is just, before I would just always try to like catch lightning in a bottle. It was just being inspired by something and just try to get the idea out as quick as possible. As I've, been making music for so long now, I've just been growing into it. Now it's all more about the post. Like I put down an idea, but then I always keep going back and tinkering it. And I think for the most part, the legacy I want to leave behind is just not to be put in a box so much. Like, I see a lot of times where artists scared to be themselves in some sense and just try to make music that they think the people will like. And I think that's like the first mistake, because my favorite rappers and some of my favorite music wasn't on the radio or wasn't on top 40 shit. So just trying to just, make people just know that music is subjective in some sense. So make what you like. And if it's other people that like that shit, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, when you're trying too hard to make something that everybody gonna like, or, I guess it is a talent to do that. I guess that's what pop music is in some sense. But I don't think I got that in me. You know what I'm saying? So what's up? What you guys creative from?
It's Saturday morning where I'm sitting, and I just went out this morning and listened to that album back to back, and I loved it. I'm not just saying that. I always say it, but we can forget, example after example, we can forget now that paradigm that you're going to make your best work in the first third part of your life. Because listen to this album. It's everything that I've loved about Danny Brown's music, but you can also hear the maturity in it as well. It's dense. It's highly reflective. It shows someone who, as Danny's talked about, is a writer first, really, and a lover of all music. You can hear, as I say, the denseness and the honesty and just the quality of the craft. You can hear someone who has been working on this, properly writing for such a long time now, and that leads into the quality of this piece of work. So yeah, I hope that people will go and check Stardust out as a companion piece to my piece of work here, because Danny is really coming through in that album with a lot of things that are resonating with this piece of work that you're hearing now.
I walk around this earth with my head held high, cause I know I told the truth, and this game is a lie. Sleeping real good at night, cause I'm proud of myself. Say a prayer and I wake up because that rehab helped.
I saw Danny Brown perform at an old venue on the Elephant and Castle roundabout in London when I was in my 20s, and anyone who lives in London will know Elephant and Castle roundabout. It's a very famous spot in London. It was very different even 10 years ago, and I think I was trying to remember the name of the venue. I might be wrong. Was it called the Congruent perhaps? But anyway, the venue's been knocked down now, and I've put that detail in maybe slightly indulgently because it has some metaphorical resonance to the point I'm trying to make here. You see, back then, Danny Brown's album Old had just been released, or had recently been released. And to his London fans, he was something of a kind of rap, punk, electro, party drug infused in terms of image, maybe even, could you even say, sex symbol of sorts. His writing always had the quality, even though it may have been written about these kind of hedonistic experiences, you could always kind of smell a deep passion for music, an innovative spirit, and a long relationship with reflecting on his experience in his writing on the page. So I was probably 25 at the time, and Danny is a few years ahead. He was maybe 32. And in his interviews about that time, he reflects as someone who was still living, you know, that life that he spoke about, and still living the reality that was informing that music that we can hear on Old. But also, you can hear that he's facing a moment, that moment of change that's coming up in himself, where that life, his life that's in Old, that's brought forward in Old, and what he's come to symbolize through his music, is starting to feel less of an authentic and real reflection of his inner, expressive adult self, and more of an element of toxic addiction perhaps, that's bringing with it struggle, pain, and a kind of disassociation.
Addiction, contradictions, wouldn't listen, lost my vision. Blinded by that drinking, but my problems couldn't admit it. Down bad, going outside, and no one could get through to me. Couldn't own that, I was on that, off the drugs was losing me. Addiction had me by the throat, I couldn't breathe, just choke. My own words couldn't take serious, I was living a joke.
Singing a song saying smoking and drinking. Drinking and smoking. I don't think it's gonna help for what I got going on right now. I'm not trying to man, but I will say this, man. As much music that I made about doing drugs, and I know a lot of y'all motherfuckers done got fucked up listening to my shit. You know what I'm saying? But we all know what's good and bad type shit, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm 42 years old. Me sitting around fucking smoking blunts all day, fucking getting drunk, like shit is getting old, man. Like, yeah, so I will say, man, everybody, hey y'all, I know y'all young, y'all way younger than me, so everybody, hey y'all fun, but you know, making sure it get fun because shit could get dark and it could come to it. You know, I got to a real dark place with it, so now I'm going to go get help. So. Really, my dumb ass supposed to been gone, but I'm so fucking broke. I still gotta do shows so I can make some money before I take my ass in. So, shouts out to Dark Martins for giving me some money. Make some noise for them so I just won't be a broke crack.
So Danny is the example that we're using here, but you can see this across many artists and creatives, and probably recognize moments in your life too where this has happened. There's a lag that's formed between where you are in life, the things you might be doing day to day, your actions and what you might find coming out of your mouth, and some kind of internal understanding or new maturity which already exists inside you and is wanting to be integrated but isn't necessarily integrated yet.
The remarkable thing about a season is that it's already started before you know it. By the time you see the first golden leaf on a tree, that process has been initiated long before. So almost always we're catching up with ourselves. Yeah. And being caught up with the season that you're actually in is one of the great tasks of a satisfactory human life. I often think most human beings are 7 to 10 years behind the actual core maturity that they have attained. And their peripheral life is just so busy and so distracting that they refuse to settle down into the actual seasonal edge that they've attained inside themselves. Quite often we'll only attain that maturity when we have a trauma or a wound, or we go bankrupt, or things fall apart, or you come home and there's a note on the kitchen table and your spouse has left you. And then you hit the present season with so much velocity that you break apart on impact. And you catch up with yourself. So this is a time-honored way of human transformation, but there are better ways that are more merciful on the human soul, and that's by keeping up with yourself.
There's a lag that's formed between where you are in life, the things you might be doing day to day, your actions and what you might find coming out of your mouth, and some kind of internal understanding or new maturity which already exists inside you and is wanting to be integrated but isn't necessarily integrated yet. Perhaps, for example, there's an understanding in you that you want to start to attend a local political meeting about an issue that you know that you care about deeply, but you keep putting it off. Perhaps there's some kind of weekly drug use that was serving certain social cohesion in the past but is now causing you to feel worse about yourself rather than better, and you know you need to stop, but you're caught inside that habit and that cycle. Maybe you're catching yourself in bed watching mindless content which you know is crap, or on some porn website taking in language and images that you wouldn't in any other place in your life want to align to yourself in any kind of conscious way at all. Perhaps there's a kind of confident and affirmative voice that's begging to come out through the writing in your notebook or the work on your canvas or the music that you're making. But in the rest of your life, you're questioning it, you're forming doubt around it, because there's still work to do to manifest that voice in your real relationships that you have and other ways that you may define yourself in the rest of the world. This is where those words come up again: compulsion, intentionality, addiction, awareness, self-dehumanization, and the importance of conscious actions over unconscious ones. And if we do continue to act in unconscious ways, this is the kind of path that the human being, especially in modern culture, can end up going down that actually creates a very split self, a very fractured sense of self.
Me down, and with drinking and shit, it's been a lot of times on this motherfucker I'll get drunk And the podcast would come out, and I'd be like, "What the fuck? I said that shit!" Like I would be blacked out sometime. I didn't even know half the shit I was saying, like the shit with Dart and all that shit. I was wrong as fuck for that, man. Like I felt so bad when that shit. I forgot I did that shit. I swear, I forgot I did that. Or like a lot of times where I've talked shit about my girl and shit like that. I was in the wrong like a motherfucker, man. You got to take accountability for that shit, man. So I want to apologize to Dart, everybody at Ward, my girl, because at the end of the day, I was hurting them. I was hurting the people that cared about me the most. And that was fucked up, man. So I'm sorry to them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. We're going to get up out this motherfucker, man. I love y'all. But your boy is back. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to everybody, man. Been showing me love, man. Like I say, man, I don't expect for motherfuckers to act like I graduated.
Make no mistake, there's elements of the current culture and there's stakeholders that are trying to infantilize you through that splitting of self. They're trying to sell you food delivery as a treat for when you get off work, or trying to sell you the idea that you should allow yourself 10 minutes of doom scrolling after 45 minutes of working, because this model of action treat is normal, right? But as adults, this paradigm, that economy and languaging around it actually probably isn't normal, and it definitely doesn't align with any kind of real sense of ownership or true satisfaction in your existence. I wanted to say quickly here that I'm not trying to bullshit anybody. There obviously are times in our lives where we have to do things we don't want to do in order to be treated or gifted with money, in order to remain, financially solvent. I'm not saying that isn't true, but we can still own that decision and be aware of why we're engaging in that agreement, and also be sure that we don't take that model into the rest of our lives too. The aim is not to have to force ourselves or pretend in order to do the things that we want to do, that inner authentic self wants to engage in. And over time, we're trying to remove any of that line between the creative practice and ourselves. Some artists and creatives might try to view their work as a means for an end, and a suit that they step into in order to gain something on the other side, and then step out of that suit again. But in a passion and purpose-led practice, the aim is to centralize the self and voice that comes through in our creative practice as a constant state, and try to embody it in as many moments and choices as possible. Arguably, and I've written arguably, perhaps unarguably, it's going to be that cohesive model which allows artists to embed themselves so deeply in the work that they're able to create that unique and transcendent voice that we can see in some truly great creatives.
We call the consumers, we've been told to call the consumers dumb, but they're not. They know when it's real.
Absolutely.
And they know if they can feel it, and that's something that I always understood, just being a fan myself. When I looked at, still to this day, when I look at my certain aspirations as far as artists, when I look at Eminem, when I look at Jay, I felt, the stories they were telling, whether it was fictional or not. These ideas that they was putting down made me believe, any and everything that they were saying, because it just came from a space of whether a realistic point or just their imagination being so strong, and so heavy,
absolutely,
that you just get bombarded into their ideas, and that's how it comes across for me.
I wanted to talk quickly about Kendrick Lamar as an example of this, because he came to mind, and specifically his work on To Pimp a Butterfly. The way Kendrick used different voices and ventriloquized different parts of himself and different characters throughout that album might have some lineage through certain genres of music, but it was, or at least felt to me, to be something that was actually truly transcendent in itself.
Loving you is complicated.
The ability to fully embody that true way he wanted to express those stories and express that energy that was coming out, for me, it's a good example of something that can only come from living inside the work as much as possible. The performance that he was doing in the studio, or when he performed those songs, wasn't a performance then. It wasn't the artist putting on an artist suit. It was an authentic expression of the inner self, and a symptom of someone who was trying to live a life that was cohesive with that authentic self, and live a life around bringing that voice through. When we can thread that needle, and when we do have that authenticity running through our life as our background, then nothing in our creative work really becomes a risk, and the self-doubt really falls away. I always say on this channel that I think you can feel really easily when an artist or creative is being true and living in that expression and embodying it. And that's what I think you could hear in Kendrick's performances around that album. Although what he was doing was in many ways quite strange or transcendent, it actually didn't feel that way. It was unquestionable. It really was unquestionable, because it was obviously came from a true and, you know, for that reason, powerful, authentic place.
I'm learning, I'm trying. It's hard because this word teaches you how to desire a lot.
Yes.
But don't teach you enough how to not desire. I want to learn more how to desire less.
And that's what you pray about, amongst other things?
I pray to different things depending on what I'm lacking and what I'm missing more. If I'm lacking peace, inner peace, then I will do one type of prayer. But if I'm feeling in peace and I feel like there's so much that I have to celebrate, then I pray and give thank you. I do more something that has to do with gratitude.
In the idea of searching for balance from something greater than yourself and asking for that from somewhere, what's at the top of your asking list?
I think that sometimes it's not about asking. It's about listening.
Now, I'm not Kendrick Lamar, and I'm not saying I am, but I do know that my own writing and everything that I do in terms of my work is stronger, and I have way less self-doubt about it when I'm able to string together a certain number of weeks or months where I'm living a life that doesn't feel so split or fractured. And for me, there's a lot of ways that I'm trying to think going forward about my decisions across the board in order to release that feeling when I share my work or create my work or perform my work, that there's some kind of line that I have to cross, that there's some kind of sense that that performance or expression is a separate part, or that I'm having to pretend in any way in order to do it. I remember listening to something, and I can't remember who the YouTubers were right now, but they were talking about the way they made videos, and they were saying beforehand, on the day of the shoot, they would get themselves really hyped up before turning on the camera and get themselves into this kind of ecstatic space of like hyperactivity or something like that. And for me, I don't understand that really. You're forcing yourself to cross a line between how you live, you know, how you were in the petrol station when you popped in to fill up the tank, and how you are in your work. And yeah, as I say, the model that I think is powerful is to try and take down those walls. Right, with that said, I just wanted to give these 3 ways that we might reflect on the ideas above. And really importantly here, I'm not kidding around here, or this isn't me just trying to get more comments on the video. I'm genuinely saying here, I need your help if this is going to be like an expansive piece about this topic. What is your experience with this stuff? How has this journey worked out for you in terms of trying to create a more integrated, cohesive relationship between who you are in the rest of your life and your creative work? I'm admittedly one person with one brain and one life experience, which is an extremely limited place to come from in order to try and present such a long piece about this topic. And, you know, obviously I pull in examples and I try and be honest and make this as engaging as possible, but please, as I say, if this is going to be expansive or more universal, I really would love to hear your experience of this stuff.
Told the truth, and this game is a lie. Sleeping real good at night, cause I'm proud of myself. Say a prayer and I wake up because that rehab helped. When I didn't have hope, I was turning to dope. Drinking till I passed out, cause I just couldn't cope. Everything I went through had me drowning on the surface. Discover who I am, now I know my life purpose.
Okay, the first of the 3 tools that I wanted to pass over here is an acronym. And it's an acronym that came into my head for a project a while back, actually. And it always pops into my head. I haven't found the right place to use it yet. I don't know if it's a project name or I'm not sure what it is, but the acronym is MOBM, or MOBM. And it stands for make or be made. This is a simple call to action, really, and I think it can be a useful thing to think about when we're questioning if certain choices or ways that we're moving through the world are starting to feel incongruent with actually maybe our more conscious or aware inner selves or authentic selves. Make or be made. Are you letting the world come in and make decisions for you? We've all been raised inside of a culture for good and for bad, but as adults, bringing those ways we move through the world and decisions that we make around that back into our own hands and responsibility in order to serve that inner thing that we want to embody and express, that's a job that as adults, as I say, we're either going to do for ourselves or we're going to continue to allow culture and life to do for us. I know I'm giving a lot of examples here, but I'm going to try and pick out a couple more now because I want to catch a few more people. All this stuff's coming from my own writing, so you know, if I've written it here, how else would I know about it other than have it kind of popped into my head personally? So I'm not blaming anyone, I'm just putting out some more examples here. Have you ever found yourself in that moment where you've clicked on or attempted to click on an Instagram artist ad because a part of you wants to see if their work is as good as your work? Have you ever decided to take down your paintings on the wall in your flat before your friends come over because secondary school perhaps or some part of your early life taught you that hiding certain parts of you is going to be more safe, and you don't feel comfortable yet having that conversation and sharing that part of yourself? Now, in this piece that I'm bringing forward to you this week, I'm not going to go into some crazy discussion about free will. But yeah, the fact is, we're either going to consciously try to get in touch with ourselves and practice our ability to make free decisions that more and more align with our adult, aware, conscious selves, or we don't. Both options are available to us in all moments, and that does seem to be the case. Okay, number 2, and just before we get onto this one, a quick note in this video just to say, if you're enjoying this work, come check out the newsletter that I put out. It's free. It's called Inside Creative Minds, and it lives on the platform Substack. It's free. It's linked wherever you're enjoying this piece of material, and it's probably the best place. It's kind of the hub where everything goes through, that newsletter. I love creating it. It's a beautiful community over there. There's certain exclusive opportunities to get involved that go out through that, but I'm not trying to tempt or fish anyone in with that kind of idea. Honestly, it's free, it's good. I don't send you any crap. Come and check it out, it's cool. So on to number 2 here, and this one is very nice in its simplicity. And it's just do something creative every day, whatever format or medium it is, whether it's morning pages, your daily 45-minute guitar practice, or even intentionally picking an album that you want to take inspiration from and listening to it start to finish. Whatever it is, it's about going down, getting engaged with that authentic voice that wants to push forward and come out of your work, and turning up the volume of it every day and trying to bring forward the truth that's held there, trying to always stay as tuned in as possible to what it's trying to tell you. Again, the world, parts of the world these days are designed specifically to make us move in unconscious ways, to try and infantilize us, to try and feed us, right? And this isn't some crazy Matrix stuff. It's just the honest truth, isn't it? Let's be real here. And yeah, making just that one intentional choice to every day engage in something around your creative practice that you know that you care about is a great way to turn up the volume on that authentic voice that you're going to want to bring forward. So number 3 now, and when I meet people in real life who have seen my work through Creative Minds, often it will be the stuff that I've created around Rubin that they mention to me first. And this one really sits within that Rubin-esque approach. And it's to engage in some kind of meditative or reflective practice in your life. Something that allows you to try and recognize more clearly the external noises the culture puts on us. And again, to try and tune in to that more deeper sense of awareness.
In one of your lyrics, you mentioned meditation. Do you have a meditation practice?
Yeah, man. I have to have at least 30 minutes to myself.
Nice.
If it's not on a daily, every other day, to just sit back, close my eyes, and absorb what's going on. You know, the space that I'm in. When you're in music, and everybody knows this, the years are always cut in half because we always have something to do. You know, whether we're in the studio for 4 months, that go by. Or now you gotta go on the road for 5 months, that go by. Next thing you know, 5 years done went by. And you're 29 years old, you know? And for me now, I have to find a way to understand the space that I'm in and how I'm feeling at the moment. Because if I don't, it's going to zoom. I know, I can feel, you know, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just goes, you know, and then you miss out on your moment because you were so in the moment, you didn't know the moment was going on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
you can also get lost. I know some artists get lost in touring, and they become less relatable. Like the stuff they have to write about doesn't relate because all they know is being on stage and accolades and hotels and like stuff that's like their reality is so different than everybody else's reality that it's not so interesting.
Definitely.
Especially if that's all you talk about.
Definitely. It's definitely it's I like to call it a cartoon world, you know, and you can really get lost in it so fast, you know. It's scary out there. It's so scary, man. And
how do you get the idea to do the 30 minutes every day or every other day?
Well, just knowing my scheduling and how much I just think about music. You know, someone brought it to my attention. It's all I think about. You know, and there's nothing wrong with it. It consumes me. It consumes my life. I breathe it. You know, like I can't think about nothing else. You know, and once I start realizing that, you know, okay, I know that I have to give it some time and space every now and then, you know, and that 30 minutes helps. That 30 minutes helps where I can totally zone out and not think about my next lyric, you know? And it gives me a restart, a jump start, and a refresh, and lets me know why I'm here doing what I'm doing.
I've just released my music for 2025, and I try and release an album or a music project every year, and I already have the title for my next project. It's a working title, so, you know, it could change, but at the moment, this next project I want to do, I'm going to call it Breathwork, and this stems out of all of these ideas that I'm talking about today. In my own life, I've played around with meditation and stuff like journaling as well, like a daily writing practice is an example of one of these reflective practices, but meditation being something that I've played around with, and I've just started doing some follow along breathwork practices, which I usually do just before I go to sleep actually, and I'm finding it a really nice way to try and tune in with that kind of grounded, centered self. A lot of my recent work, and I'm talking about myself as an example here, again, I hope you don't think I'm just bigging myself up. I'm just talking about my own journey here as an example. A lot of my recent work uses voice as a central element, with most of my recent performances having some sort of a cappella element, and I love the simplicity of that a cappella performance and the lack of ability to hide with it. What I'm trying to do is to get in touch, bring stuff up with this breathwork practice, right? And get in touch with the body and being aware in a less analytic way, perhaps. And yeah, that's just an example of a reflective practice that's helping me think about tuning in for my creative work. And yeah, I just think that's a great thing to think about, whether it's something like journaling or meditation or breath work. Yeah, some kind of reflective or meditative practice. Okay, we got right into the end here now, but I wanted to add one more additional final point that I want to say in this, and it's an important one, and that's just to give yourself a break on all this stuff too. A lot of art is about this struggle to try and find and align with that central point and inner truth that you're looking for, and the magic is most likely going to be in waking up and trying, as opposed to having it be perfect every time. Living that work and that authentic voice and walking that path is a life's work with no arrival. But to hear that voice and to try and fill our lives as much as possible with actions which align with that authentic voice, that's something that I think when we're on our deathbeds looking back is going to be a really nice salve, a really nice thing to think, hey, I tried to do that. And yeah, I think probably enough said today on that one. Thanks as always to the paid subs. Come be part of that paid community, and I can guarantee you, as I always say, the money there, the price of the coffee per month to support the work I do here and to vote and say this is valuable, I'm glad this exists, that goes into me putting my time into making this work, right? As I say, I'm no sob story here. I love, and it's a privilege to do this work, but I'm not some crazy rich person from it. I can absolutely guarantee you that. And every member who signs up to support the work through the newsletter or through the Patreon is, that money is directly going into helping me put the time that I can into creating creative minds. So there we go, nice awkward sentence formation to finish this one. And yeah, peace as always. Really good luck to you in your own work, power to your own creative practice, and yeah, speak soon.